Hey Sam, have you decided on a label yet? Hi friends, it is Sam and welcome to the Ace Episodes, a series all about asexuality. Today I have with me my rainbow notebook and I am going to discuss further my struggles with my label and a potential new label. I have been jotting down some feelings and I am going to go through these notes with you and we're going to pick apart my brain that little bit more because it's still a bit tangled, you know? We got it's like one of them necklaces that just ties itself together when you're not looking. You just gotta like take your time picking apart the chains. Is that a motorbike? Many of you may have seen that my friend Daniel also posted a maybe I'm not completely ace video and it was much better than mine. So I'm gonna put it in the cards in the description for anyone who wants more sources on questioning and changing your label and all this. But more about me. I have been trying to decide whether my feelings are more grey or demi, or a mixture. Demiromanticism is a subcategory of the grey umbrella, so I could just say I'm grey. But basically I did some research on both labels and I just wrote down the things about each label that I identified with, and then I went on to apply these feelings to a few relationships and crushes I've had before. So first I looked into grey romanticism. I did a little drawing of the flag. Look, it's not great because I couldn't be bothered to get some decent art supplies for essentially just notes when I could put the flag on the screen. Grey romantic basically means that you feel romantic attraction infrequently, which I think kind of fits with my label confusion, because since my last proper relationship I haven't felt romantic attraction, and that's been like over 3 years. So it makes sense that now I'm questioning whether I do actually feel romantic attraction as opposed to it being gone completely. The other thing about grey romanticism I wrote down is feeling unsure about how to identify romantic attraction, or how to draw the line between romantic and non-romantic, and consequently feeling unsure about having experienced it or not. I've definitely felt this way with some friendships. The line between romantic and non-romantic attraction kind of blurred, and I did wonder if I had a crush on these friends or if I just really liked them as a friend. That has pretty much always been a struggle for me. But I think now the line's a little bit clearer. When it comes to friendships, I know that I don't want to cuddle them or kiss them. I just love them very deeply. If I had a crush, I know that I'd want that sort of thing. Then I wrote down a few bullet points about demiromanticism. The first one is that it's a subcategory of the grey umbrella, like I said earlier. I also wrote down experiencing romantic attraction that develops only with close friends. For most of my relationships, I would say that that's accurate. My last relationship was not developed from a close friendship. I met him on Tinder and we started dating immediately, but I did not feel romantic attraction towards him from the off per se. I think that it did come with time, so you could argue that my feelings towards him were demi-romantic. I also wrote down not understanding the point of blind dating, speed dating, etc. No. No, 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 no. No. Like, at least with Tinder, you've got like an inkling of what they're like and like the smallest of connections to them. Speed dating and blind dating? No. I then looked into sexual orientation, which I think I've said before, I find far more confusing. I think for me that it definitely comes after romantic attraction, if at all. So again, for grey sexual, I put limited sexual attraction, sometimes considered the midpoint between ace and allo, and sex not as important to them as the rest of the population. I think that's accurate for a lot of the ace community. And for demisexual, I wrote down experiences sexual attraction after a bond is formed, which I think relates more to me than grey sexual. Demisexuality can happen often and intensely, but only with people you're close to. I also wrote down something that I found in an article, which is you can be both. Your orientation can shift and feel different over time, so it's possible to fluctuate between the two. After mulling these things over in my little brain, I took 4 relationships from my life and I tried to apply certain labels to each relationship. The first one was a female, and I felt attracted to her after the bond was formed. I was friends with her for many years before we got together, so that would suggest we had a demi-romantic connection. And from what I remember, I didn't feel sexually attracted to her, but the physical activity we partook in was enjoyable. Why am I so awkward? Basically, I enjoyed what we did together, but it doesn't necessarily mean I felt sexual attraction towards her. If I did, it was very infrequent and limited. So that would be perhaps a grey A situation, or possibly just an asexual situation. Girl number 2, I felt pretty romantically attracted to very early on. But to be honest, we became friends quite quickly. So that one's quite hard to pinpoint. But I just wrote in brackets, romantic. So that was probably the closest I got to an allo-romantic situation. However, I didn't feel any sexual attraction towards her. She was the first crush I really agonized over because I really couldn't imagine being sexual with her, but I had no idea that the ace community existed, and I thought that no one could possibly want or have a romantic relationship without any sex. And God, was I wrong. I was wrong, and maybe it could have worked out in another life, but it didn't. So bearing that in mind, I would say my attraction towards her was homoromantic asexual. The third example of attraction I have felt was with a boy, and it was definitely a demi-romantic situation. We did date before the bond had formed, but I didn't feel that romantic attraction until I actually started to develop some sort of trust with him. And because there wasn't that much trust between us, I don't really think I felt much sexual attraction towards him. I'd say it was similar to the first relationship, in which I felt a demi-romantic grey A / just asexual attraction towards him. And the fourth I met online, and is the most confusing of the 4. When we first started talking, I did wonder if we'd make a good couple, but I didn't think anything else of that particular nature until our friendship started developing, and then I did develop a bit of a crush. Sexual attraction is just as hard. I did imagine certain scenarios, and I don't really like the word fantasize, but you get the gist. It's hard to determine what sort of attraction this was. I know this came after deciding that I had a crush on this person, so was it then a demisexual attraction? I don't know. My history suggests varying degrees of romantic attraction. I've floated between grey and aromantic for most of my life, but right now I can see myself in a relationship, but I won't lose sleep over not having one. I could be completely happy for the rest of my life not being in a relationship, but on the other hand, I can see myself being in a relationship. I don't mind whether that's just a romantic relationship or a romantic sexual relationship. It would depend on varying factors. I guess if I'm really unsure, I could just stick with arospec and aspec and be done with the whole situation. What you feel in future, what you feel now, and what you felt in the past, all are valid and fine. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them. There are sources in the description. Like, subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. Bye!